Okay, so making the connections between summer going into fall and cold and flu season, and then the allergies in the springtime, tells you that the climate change is the change in frequencies. When the winds of change blow in, that is a higher frequency that accelerates growth, and some people can't afford that much acceleration in growth, and so therefore there is the diagnosable conditions and or the electrical shocks to their body from the frequencies influencing their hearts and their other vital organs, causing death. Okay, and so now with how amplified the atmosphere is, and with the change that happened in July 4th, and with the CERN and the HARP and the Wi-Fi and all of that, well, now you're going to see as we go into each season, there's going to be a lot more issues going on. A lot more issues going on. And so, yeah, we're heading into like Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, and all the different holidays, and also Christmas, Thanksgiving, Halloween. And then of course, seeing an increase in the storm severity, okay, in different places. So, now my advice to you for anyone, do not use anything to stop the energy when you finally realize your predisposed issues. You're going to have to feed the energy. If you live through any of your predisposed issues, you need to keep feeding the energy, and you need to keep blowing your nose. You need to keep blowing your nose, getting the poop out, keep eating. Find something that is not going to be recalled for various reasons or discontinued for various reasons. Find the most basic food out there that is packed full of nutrients and carbs and amino acids. I even tried the Impossible meat today that was from Starbucks. Okay? And find something that is reliable, because you're going to need to scale down the diversity as far as your food take. And it needs to be diverse, but it needs to be packed full of so many diverse elements and nutrients and fatty acid, amino acids, prohormones, and minerals. And so that way it's easy for you to shop. You don't have to try to think about putting together so many different ingredients. That if you can get, your fruit in one packet, get your packet or in a form, like a juice or whatever, and get maybe some vegetables if need be, get your meats and your milk and your, the four food groups, and some kind of pasta, some kind of carbs, and get them in the most basic, easiest form as possible. Because there is no telling what it's going to be like in the future as these frequencies get turned up in a highly charged atmosphere. That sky plasma, that made so much sense, because you have plasma in your body, it's all conductive to electricity, and then that's why I feel the frequencies, because my body isn't too obese and isn't too underweight. It's just enough where I feel the stuff and I have enough insulation. What's the stuff? The frequencies, the electrical charges. I had just enough insulation to handle the shock waves. And then when I'm hungry, I feed. I don't add any more secondary antibodies. That's why yesterday was so integral and so important for me to understand and differentiate between primary antibodies and secondary antibodies, because the primary antibodies are the inflammatory responses when you get exposed to a virus or any kind of human DNA that is different to you. Or inflammatory responses when your body feels something from an electrical surge in the environment, and it brings up symptoms and all of that. But the secondary antibodies are what is going to destroy people. Those are from the antibiotics, from all the tinctures, from all the immunotherapies, from all the prescription drugs, the over-the-counter drugs. And then people do not want to poop or pee at a maximum level that is beneficial to them. They don't want to blow their nose. They don't want to cough out the loogies and all that stuff. And so So now you cannot afford to develop more secondary antibodies. You can't afford to. Not anymore. You have to now work on releasing that antibiotic programming from the antibiotics that you took against your primary antibodies from the inflammatory responses. When I got those hives a couple months back, if I were to take something against the hives, that would have trained my body not to have an inflammatory response to release, and then I would have allowed that antibiotic that used against the hives to then program my system to work against me. Like I said, people who are taking antibiotics against their inflammatory responses are working against themselves 50% of the time. Now, that's what gave you that relative equilibrium so you can be cured, but that was in a lower frequency environment. Now we're in a higher frequency environment. You're not going to be able to get back. You're not going to be able to get ahead of the game, which is why you're seeing those that have been diagnosed with cancer on a body with a lot of deficits can't even take the cancer cures or the radiation or the chemo or even the operations because the cancer spread that much quicker than prior to this environment. That's what they mean by we won't have too much suffering in the future. We will eradicate cancer. You know what that means? Eradicating cancer and superbugs is eradicating those who have so many secondary antibodies in their body working against them. That when the seasons change, when the climates change, right? What is climate change? When you're going from summer to fall, when you're going from fall to winter, going from winter to spring, and then spring to summer, that is climate change, but it'll be accelerated. It'll be higher capacity, higher charge, and you're going to see a lot more people falling out from the different climate changes. It's all words. You have to understand what words are. People hold so much assumptions because of the politicization of the words and the terms that are used. Climate change is just climate change. The assumptions behind it is what people are denying or rallying for or against. But simply going in from fall to winter or summer to fall is climate change. How aggressive the change is now, that's a different story. But no one's talking about how aggressive the change is. Because they're saying, oh yeah, this happened every year. We have heat in the summer and coldness in the winter, so I don't understand what people are talking about. But we had so many fluctuations within the last 20-something years that people don't even know anymore what is normal because of them turning things on and off. And so when you have when you have a lot of sky plasma projecting like a plasma TV screen, yeah, then you can develop any kind of image you want. And then all you gotta do is add energy to the image right next to the images that you want people to see. Then people don't even know what they're looking at. They think they're looking at a reality that really is a projected image with energy behind it. When you can create holograms with energy behind it. So you have a hologram, and then you have an actual physical building that has energy inside of it. Can you see how you can develop a story? That's where the conspiracy community came from. It's the fact that, yeah, we have Project Bluebeam. How do you change and evolve a population? You have to develop situations that never existed. That's all psychology. That's psychology developing realities. I'm so happy that I actually remembered that situation that my mom put my sister and I under, because then you can translate that situation to what happened in 2001. And also with Afghanistan, Iraq, the Middle East. When I look at pictures of Afghanistan was westernized way back in the 1970s, the 1980s, and now they're back to their primordial status of under extreme conservative regime, bringing back medieval ways. that there is not much innovation going on in some of these countries. For most of the country, they were aggressing back. Holy shit. So the Middle East fell before the Western society fell. But since we have 7.9 billion and climbing, that was part of it all. That was part of it. Things had to systematically fall for years and years and years. And there had to be a psychological operations. There had to be a storyline behind it. There had to be action. There had to be money behind it. So people were more apt to go and do the things like be compartmentalized and go to NASA and go join the military and go join the sciences community and go join this and join that. And they're getting paid a ton of money, ton of grant money for the research. And they're getting thrown all the accolades and the honor and the Nobel Rest in Peace Prize. And then some people wake up here and there and they're part of it all. They don't realize what they were doing until they write a book and they're exposing their industry, but the industry already figured out how to discredit them. And so even though you figured out that there are certain things that are going on, even in biotech, there's already a built-in discrediting type of system that says that this person was doing this and this and this. And so then it's hard to take serious what's going on because you don't even know what's real or what's not real, or who's just, we don't even know who's part of the agenda and who's not, and who's a controlled opposition or who's not. It's all psychological operations, which then had me question a lot about the InfoWars and Alex Jones world, but I think he was also used as a tool. But then what is financing his operation are all the supplements. So he's not going to say anything against the supplements because that's what finances his operation. People are buying supplements left and right because they're so afraid of all the frequencies and the chemical stuff and all that stuff. And they're afraid of the food supply and afraid of all the therapies, but they're taking, all the different holistic supplements that are no different. But he's already backed himself into a corner. He can't get out of that. Neither can people that work for him. And so they'll keep on with that agenda until, who knows, until they supernova, self-implode. Okay, so this is so organized and so strategic that it'll be too late for many people. When it's no surprise, it's not a coincidence that I figured this out at the 11th hour. Because when the frequencies slow down, your brain waves slow down. You have to speed up your own brain waves, but you have to do it in a way that is not going to take away substance. The J juice is a catalyst and it's energy, but you also can cure yourself. Cure, C-U-R-E, which means that you stop the evolution. You stop the catalyzing of the energy and you put yourself in a cured state, which is not what we want to do. So unless you get around frequencies that are higher than your normal atmosphere, then you're just going to keep with your same thought process until you get sick again and then raise the frequencies in your body. That's why the increased intelligence. Every single time I got sick, I became more intelligent because the frequencies in my body were raising the brain waves. We're accelerating the brain waves to work faster. So then when they accelerate the atmosphere and I'm freaking productive as hell, putting everything together and realizing primary antibodies, secondary antibodies, the biodomes and the sky plasma, and I'm putting all this, it's not a coincidence because the more energy you apply to something that is finally putting it all together, the faster the connections are made, and it also will accelerate the death process and the death in other people. That's what's amazing. That's why you can't stop any more of the frequencies when it comes to the painful evolution. You have to give rest and let the energy happen. Okay? So now you're seeing the connection between when I was getting sick and gaining more intelligence, and then the frequencies are accelerating and I'm gaining more intelligence. Now you see energy and you see electricity, and you see now we're heading into an electrical world. No more of the fossil fuels and using gas, guzzling trucks. Now we're headed into a highly charged atmosphere with electrical planes, electrical cars, electrical everything, electrical communication. And you're going to have to adapt to that and rise up to that level. And yeah, you can survive on vegan meat. that has still all of the fatty acid, amino acid, prohormones, and minerals. Those that are stuck in the traditional world, they're going to have a hard time transitioning from their gas guzzling trucks and their Humvees, right? To then electrical cars. Can you really see Ram truck turn into electrical? My husband would buy then a Ford or a Chevy if they were still gas guzzling. He does not like electrical. I understand where he's coming from, but sorry, honey, but the world's changing. You're going to have to adapt to it. I bought him an Impossible meat sandwich from Starbucks. He says it doesn't taste like meat. For me, it tasted salty and it was really greasy. That was the difference that I saw. That it wasn't thick. Definitely it wasn't viscous, have the collagen that you would get in meat. It was definitely a little bit different. It was a little bit greasier, but it tasted okay. I mean, if they made it thicker, it would be a little bit, it would be a little bit more authentic. But the world's changing. The world is fucking changing. And you got to adapt to it. You can't resist it. And so if you're underweight and you're like resisting the milk and the meat and the cheese, whatever is left that's out there that hasn't converted to Impossible meat and vegan meat, if you're underweight and you're a vegan and vegetarian, how are you going to handle these frequencies when the climate does change from season to season? When you're working out and you're athletic, building up your muscles where you have now a quick reaction time, because that's what athletes do. They want quick reaction times, right? Well, you don't have enough insulation to handle the frequencies. How are you going to do that, athletes that are runners, weightlifters, cliff climbers, whatever, wall climbers? How are you going to handle this? And you already have predisposed issues? That's right, you're denying this happens because it's all about the old world. Your parents haven't conditioned you to accept that there's changes because your parents haven't accepted that there's changes. They don't even want to warn you about this because they don't have some parents, not all. A lot of the mainstream parents are in denial. So you have the underweight, the athletic, then you have the obese people when you're in a higher frequency environment. That's massive cell replication. You'll have more fat develop even faster, causing more stress to your vital organs. Those that are underweight and with vital organ issues, how are you going to handle the high stress environment through the changing of the seasons? What are you doing? Oh, that's right. It doesn't exist. Jillian's stupid. Jillian is just a fucking conspiracy theorist. Jillian is just a fearmonger. Okay, fine. I hope all of you that have slammed me, treated me like shit, told me I was stupid, or not to my face, but behind my back, I hope you all survive this. I tried so hard to warn many of you that this is what's going on. The frequencies, your cancer, disease, and chronic illness, your participation in the medical holistic system is putting you further and further behind the 8 ball. But yet I'm stupid, and yet, you don't understand, you don't want to understand physics, you don't want to understand biochemistry or chemistry, you don't want to understand math, or even pay attention to what I'm doing. Okay, fine. I hope you survive the climate change. I hope that you're on your bandwagons of activism was worth it to you. I hope that I don't know, man. Part of me is a little bit angry. Part of me is like, ha, I told you so. And now you're all gonna, and that sounds so mean, but then being vindicated can be like satisfying, but at the cost of what? When you're right, it feels good, but it doesn't. Because when you're actually being proven right at some point, whether now or in the next few months, when you're being proven right, everything that you've warned everybody against is going to be realized. And so vindication doesn't become as satisfying as you want it to be. It's all psychological. It's all psychological. And so being right is a double-edged sword. It means that everything you warn people against is going to happen. Because I'm telling you, when I'm looking at that sky plasma, and then I'm realizing physically, when you're in water, in a really highly dense precipitative environment, and you have frequencies, okay, it's like throwing a plugged-in toaster or hairdryer into a tub. It's like, bzzz. It's like, holy shit, that's right. Because, yeah, the sky looks like the ocean. Your atmosphere is like, it's thick, it's suffocating. That's why some of the elderly can't handle being outside, because it's so suffocating. In a very humid environment, like Florida, where all the elderly go to, that's already humid, so you add a few zap, zap, zap. You know, how many people in Florida are going to survive the frequencies? There's a whole big community of the villages that's full of all the elderly that hang out there with heart problems and vital organ issues. And so climate change, when you're increasing the frequencies between every summer and fall to winter to spring, that's a gradual, progressive, oh, well, they didn't get the therapy, they didn't get this. Hotter climate, look at people, they're still doing they're playing their golf in the hot climate, they're hiking out there in the middle of Arizona in such a hot climate, and they're taking their babies with them. Sorry, people are making these choices. That's why there's an increase in sudden DEATHs. Oh yeah, there'd be so many things that people are going to go and blame, but they're not going to look at that the atmosphere, yeah, is highly charged, and they don't have what it takes. They don't fucking have what it takes. We're already seeing it slowly happen. You're already seeing some of these groups, they're using emojis to talk about the people that they see are succumbing to whatever they think is the problem. So yeah, even though Alex Jones is saying, oh yeah, we have a new world order and they're doing this, this, and this, and they're going to blame all the food, the GMO, and all that stuff. Okay, fine. And then we have the groups that are blaming all the different therapies. Okay, fine. And then there's me going like, they're all fucking working together. And the fact that you're afraid of GMO, you're afraid of eating meat, milk, cheese, and eggs, and all that stuff. You're starving yourself. And so that right there, he's contributing to the decline by keeping people afraid of food and then promoting his supplements. And so then you have the people who are afraid of the V's recommending the IVER MECTIN. I see it all over in that group. Oh yeah, take all your different, DETOXESs. And so then you see, this has been like strategically planned. Then you have the ones that stick their head in the sand, that are all about, oh, my grandkids, oh, look at my grandkids, they're so beautiful, they're so this, oh, look, I'm partying on a freaking yacht in a boat in the middle of the Bahamas. Oh, look, this, okay. And I'm here going like, holy shit. And so, yeah, do you have what it fucking takes to deal with this climate change in a highly charged atmosphere with people afraid to fucking eat and afraid to feel their primary antibodies from the inflammatory response that actually is their protection, their actual protection? You gotta marvel at all of it. You guys, there's nothing left to do. You can't even be mad anymore. You almost feel evilly happy that you're being vindicated. That's the side that I see it in John, and I know John sees it in me. I understand why John acts the way John acts, as far as, yeah, fuck, we try to fucking warn you. Oh, I get it. I feel exactly the same way when you're like, dude, you almost can't wait for the rapture to happen. Because you're tired of being attacked by those that don't fucking give a shit. You're tired of being looked at and looked down upon. You're tired of people not taking your ass seriously. You're tired of being just, I don't know, looked at strangely. You're tired of people saying that you're weird, and you're tired of people just not even understanding. You're tired of the ignorance out there. And so then you can't help and wait for the fucking rapture. That's the fucked up side that I understand, that I also identify with. And part of me is like, I can't wait. Part of me, I can't wait. Because then maybe those that I do give a shit about, I give a shit about everybody, but I mean, whatever. But those that are close to me, those that I know personally, when they see people around them that I don't really know very well, or even that I know very well, drop like flies, maybe they might do something different. Maybe there's a few that are in my circles of influence, whoever, that I know personally or know through the internet. You might fucking take some shit seriously. That there's going to be examples when somebody that you know very well that could have had, another 20 years in a different environment drop like a fucking fly. And know that if you follow in their footsteps of taking all their pills, power supplements, and detox and drugs and cannabis and all that stuff, that you're fucking next. It'll take a few more climate changes, a few more seasons under your belt before that one antibody rules them all, will cause in a cacophony, a fireworks celebration in your body that you will not be able to survive. If it's going to take somebody close to you, someone that you know, that we know well, to pass away for you to get your shit together, so be it. Or hey, fall over the cliff with everybody else. I don't want that to happen. I don't want to have anyone as a sacrifice to represent that I was fucking right, but maybe that must happen. And I'm sure it will, because I see people already in that group of the died SUDDENLY say, finally I'm seeing now people close to me that I know very well passing away. I've seen in the last couple of years people that I don't really know very well, but I've partied with and all that, and they already had other issues that you could say, okay, well, they were alcoholics, so it was just time. It was just a matter of time before they would contract something. Okay. Some people survive the therapies, the chemo and the radiation. The ones that survive the chemo and radiation are usually the men that have a lot more to them. The ones that don't survive the chemo and radiation from the cancers and all that stuff are usually the women who are underweight. That's what I've noticed, the patterns. And so if you're underweight, it's just a matter of time before a heart attack, stroke, or some aggressive cancer is going to take your ass out. You have to turn this shit around. Stop sacrificing yourself for a fucking job who doesn't give a shit about you, that will replace you tomorrow with someone else who doesn't know any better. But you can't tell people that because they've been ingrained. Oh yeah, I gotta work till I fucking die. Work till I die, till there's nothing left, and be that hero to somebody else. And when you don't exist anymore, what was it all for? Oh, she was a great person. She gave of herself just unconditionally. Was everybody's friend, did everything for everybody else. And so she was our human sacrifice. That's what I see. That's what fucking sucks to watch. All right, bye.